Standing just outside the primary defensive wall, Ranger Anya checks the thermal seals on her armored parka. Her role is vital, the exterior watch. The wilderness is silent, but it is not empty. Anomalous ice storms can flash freeze a man in seconds, and ancient, biomodded creatures from forgotten Soviet labs are said to prowl the deeper woods. Ranger 29er, all clear on Sector North. She speaks into her comms. In the Reach, no one travels alone, and no one goes beyond the snow-cleared pass without authority. To leave the range of the central heating network is to invite death. Anya's duty is to ensure the walls remain unbreached, both by the cold and by the desperate. A flicker of movement catches her eye, a shadow darting between the skeletal trees. She tightens her grip on her pulse rifle, the barrel humming with barely contained energy. The city's outer defenses are a maze of motion sensors, laser grids, and heated kill zones, but the taiga is vast and the cold is patient. Anya's breath steams in the frigid air as she adjusts her visor, scanning the horizon. The neon glow of Siberia pulses behind her, a beacon in the dark, a promise that here humanity refuses to yield. The city's towers rise like jagged teeth, their windows glowing with the light of 1,000 screens, each one a thread in the web of life that keeps the cold at bay. The air inside the industrial core of Siberia was thick with the metallic tang of recycled oxygen. The constant hum of filtration systems pressing against eardrums like a second heartbeat. The city's lifeblood pulsed through veins of steel and neon, a symphony of heat and light that never slept. Here, in the bowels of the machine, survival was a contract written in volts and degrees. The glazers pale. Slender figures draped in synthetic silks glided through the upper levels of the Krasny Oktyaber Tower, their faces bathed in the sterile glow of artificial suns. They spoke in hushed tones, their words carried by whispers of data through the city's neural network. Their lives were measured in watts and watts alone. True sunlight was a luxury reserved for the archives of the past, and the closest they came to real warmth was the controlled climate of their high-rise sanctuaries. Below them, the world was different. The steel benders moved through the metal warrens of the lower districts, their hands calloused from a lifetime of tightening bolts and recalibrating thermal matrices. They were the lifeblood of the city, the ones who kept the heat flowing through the labyrinth of pipes and conduits that snaked like serpents through the underbelly of Siberia. In return, they were given access to the grimy ramen and vodka joints, where the air was thick with the stench of grease and unfiltered smoke. Here, the cold was a constant companion, seeping through cracks in the walls, through the gaps in their worn-out thermal suits. The city's hierarchy was as unyielding as its infrastructure. A glitch in the Energia grid is a more serious offense than a fist fight, the locals said, their voices echoing off the corrugated metal walls. You can fix a broken nose, but you can't fix a city that has frozen from the inside. The Trans-Sib tech pipelines stretched endlessly, their surfaces adorned with Cyrillic warnings and glowing progress bars. The Energia grid, a web of blue and gold, pulsed with the rhythm of the city's demands. Failure was not an option. The steel benders knew this better than anyone. Their lives were spent chasing down leaks in the thermal lines, coaxing heat from the reluctant veins of the machine. A single miscalculation could mean the difference between warmth and frostbite, between order and chaos was the enemy. The Glazers understood this too. Their world was one of pristine corridors and data streams, where the cold was an abstraction, a concept to be managed by algorithms. But even they were not immune to the city's fragility. When the grid flickered, a rare but catastrophic event, their voices would rise in unison, demanding explanations from the steel benders, who would in turn shrug and promise repairs. It's just a glitch, they'd say, wiping grease from their hands. Give it time, but time was a luxury Siberia couldn't afford. Beneath the main pedestrian bridge, the deep wall bazaar operates in perpetual semi-darkness. The air hums with the static of old machinery and the murmur of deals being struck in hushed tones. Here, the strict laws of the upper levels are slightly looser, if only by necessity. The glow of flickering neon signs, Baikal Neon, Siberia. Krasny Oktябрь casts long shadows over the stalls, where black market memory chips from Baikal Neon are traded for contraband fresh apples. And a specialist can be found to repair outdated neural jacks for a fistful of valuable insulated copper. This is where the city's heart beats, in the shadow of the great machines. The bazaar is a labyrinth of rusted metal and flickering screens, where the walls themselves seem to pulse with the city's lifeblood. Traders hunch over their wares, their faces half lit by the sickly glow of holographic displays. A woman in a tattered coat slides a vial of glowing liquid across a table, her fingers trembling. "Last batch," she whispers. "Fresh from the labs, one dose and you'll see the world as it should be." A man with a cybernetic eye scans the crowd, his gaze lingering on the flickering sign of Trans-Siberia, the monolithic corporation that owns the air above. He knows the risks. The enforcers of the upper levels don't often venture down here, but when they do, the bazaar's denizens vanish like smoke into the maze of pipes and wires. Near the center, a stall draped in frayed red banners advertises progress. Progress. The proprietor, a wiry figure with a neural jack jutting from his temple, offers upgrades that the official clinics won't touch. "Faster reflexes," he murmurs, tapping a chip against his palm. "Better memory." Or he grins, revealing a row of sharp, gleaming teeth. Something illegal. A child, no older than 12, watches from the shadows. His jacket is patched with scavenged circuits, and his eyes dart between the traders and the flickering signs above. He knows the rules. Don't ask questions, don't make eye contact, and never ever touch the merchandise unless you're ready to pay with more than credits. The bazaar isn't just a market, it's a living thing, breathing in the fumes of the city's decay and exhaling dreams or nightmares. The deep wall bazaar doesn't just sell goods, it sells hope, desperation, and the illusion of control in a world that has long since slipped from anyone's grasp. And somewhere in the darkness, the machines hum, waiting. Outside, Anya's radio crackled to life. "Ranger Anya, status report." She adjusted the frequency. "City's stable." The glaziers are rerouting power. The steel benders are cooperating. A pause. Then the voice of her supervisor. "Good. Keep an eye on Trans-Sibir. The energy spikes there are worrying." Anya's gaze flicked to the distant tower, its lights flickering like a dying star. She knew what that meant. The Trans-Sibir district was the city's lifeline, the neural hub that connected Siberia to the outside world. If it failed, the city would be truly alone. She tightened her grip on her rifle. "Copy that."